Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand as Manchester United lose yet another Premier League game. Manchester United have not won in the Premier League since Leicester City in March. This is worrying stuff, especially when we're going into a European final next week against Spurs, where we need to score goals and we just don't look like we can put it in the back of the net. You can see the thumbnail, you can see the title, United's worst season ever categorically is in the Premier League. Could be a silver lining in the season if we win the Europa League, but we've got to play better than that, don't we, guys?
I mean, where do I start?
Go on, Mordzs.
Where do you start? I mean, yeah, we do. I mean, I said it during the game. Look, if we play like this with this team, we are not winning next week. I'm not saying that Tottenham are that great and they're going to run the park, run over the park, but we can't play at this standard and just expect to just switch it on like out of nowhere or overnight. Like, I get it. We've kind of done that a little bit in the Europa League, but we've had a little bit more of a consistent form where we've had a run of games in the Europa League, and we've got even in the Europa League we've struggled a lot. To be fair, like we've drawn quite a few games, had like some last minute winners. Look, I just don't think we can walk into a game like that playing like this and just expect to win. It's not going to happen. So it is a little bit worrying. I'm a bit nervous for the final now, just because, yeah, that game did not fill me with any kind of confidence.
And I'm going to start bringing in some questions about the final as we get into the forum. But Tul, I actually thought we played all right in the first half. Second half, we started to fall apart again. But we just do not have that killer instinct in the final third whatsoever, do we?
Yeah, first half we did enough to actually be up. Second half we kind of just let the game drift by, and we were just bystanders on the pitch at that point. You could just tell Chelsea wanted it more. Chelsea have got a lot to play for. It's basically a cup final for Chelsea today. I mean, everything's on the line for them. Essentially, what we've got in the Europa League, where we're battling to get in the Champions League spots, they're doing that today. So obviously, they had a bit more intensity about them compared to us, but unlucky with the Maguire disallowed goal. Very unlucky with that.
So just quickly, have you got your mic switched on? Don't know if you have. I don't think it's coming through.
Twice in a row.
Yeah.
How weird. Okay, maybe just leave it on the table then. Leave it on the table. Yeah. Sorry, go on to interrupt you.
Where was it up to?
The
Maybe
Maguire
he needs to speak
disallowed
up.
goal.
Speak up, Tom. Am I too quiet, Greg?
Yeah, I think Greg's going to sort it. I'll go back to me and we can sort it out. Kev.
Yes.
I'll come to you and then we'll revert back to Tul. Okay?
Yeah.
Amarim has come out after the game and said that all in all, especially in the first half, we played well, but we lacked that intensity, that aggression in the final third. Do you think that's what's preventing Manchester United? Because looking at it, okay, we weren't good. To me, that game just was like, United are rubbish, Chelsea are rubbish, but they're just not as rubbish. But I thought between the two teams, considering they're fighting for Champions League, it didn't look like there was 10 different places above us in the Premier League table. It just looked like the same issues that we have week in, week out, where we cannot produce in the final third.
Yes, and I think one of the major concerns moving into this final is, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching might agree, if you've been on social media tonight you will see it, the massive headache is going to be, do you start Rasmus Hojlund in this final? It's a huge one. And I mean, in terms of the actual performance this evening, I look at it and I think it's not that bad. And I know people will say, oh, standards and this and that, but you've quite rightly said there that there's a team fighting for Champions League to get into that top 4, top 5. We're doing the same, but through the kind of trapdoor of winning the Europa League, which is possible on Wednesday. But in terms of the actual performance, I seen slight things there today. The one thing I wanted to say, if you take it back to the West Ham game, and we were all deflated sat here, and I looked at that and I just thought, what's the point? The players have given up, they can turn it on when they want to. And to an extent this evening, I seen that they were turning it back on, but I mean, everything hinges now on Wednesday. You are really, really hoping and praying that as a collective, these group of players turn up. But you're exactly right. We didn't create much today. Ahmad had a chance. Creating opportunities was a major sort of issue this evening.
Do you think it looked like a team that didn't want to get injured?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I do, especially and I don't blame it, Ahmad, in certain cases, everyone just was pulling out of tackles here, there and everywhere, apart from Bruno and Maguire, they were going for it still. Casemiro as well, but I do think it looked like a team that knew they had a cup final a week later. And I kind of get it.
It's been going on for weeks, this. Yeah. And you will get the fan base that will turn, and what you want to see is a reaction, and you want pride, and go out there, what it is to wear the shirt. Ruben Amarim alluded to that in the game today, that's what he wanted to see post-match. He was saying these kind of comments, and I think to an extent he did get that reaction. At the same time, you have to look at players, was it a shock, the team? I predicted Manchester United would lose 3-0 today. So in that sense, I'm thinking he's going to really wrap some of these so-called, the experienced players up. He might throw the kids in. When I heard the team news, then I was like, wow, Ahmad's in there, Bruno's in there. And these are players that need game time. So when you look at it like that, but I totally agree. Your mindset, you are not going to be as 100% committed. What I want to see on Wednesday night is that commitment, and I am sure that we will get it. Do you know what I mean? You will not see players pulling out of tackles, 50-50 challenges, thinking, hospital passes, as you call it in the game. I'm not committing into this, because you're not gonna. You are gonna have that in the back of your mind that you've got arguably the biggest game post Sir Alex Ferguson for a Manchester United team. What rides on this? And I know people say, it's Europa League and all that. It's huge. Financially, everything for Manchester United. If we don't win it, it sets us back years. And for what Amarim wants to achieve at United, we have to win the Europa League.
Well, I'm going to have some questions about what team you would start, whether you would start Rasmus up front, all them questions. But I just want to ask, before I bring in some super chats into the show, everyone's getting them in already, get your comments in. I want to ask to you guys, because I said as soon as I saw that starting 11, I think that's the team that'll start for the Europa League final. Do you all think that's the team that'll start for the Europa League final?
I still have a feeling that he's going to start Garnacho.
I think Garnacho starts the final.
Yeah, I think Garnacho's the main player. I knew Ugarte didn't start today, did he?
No.
I think Ugarte as well.
I agree. I think both start.
Yeah, they're the two players that I think will start.
And I still don't think Hojlund's going to start.
In the final?
You don't, do you? You've been convinced for a couple of weeks now.
Honestly, I am convinced. And on that showing today, that he's one player that I'm really disappointed in when I'm watching, and I'm thinking, just show us something, to get into this team. He is the only recognised striker in this team. I get that. The only kind of competition is Chido Obi. I never see that in a million years that he is going to start Europa League final.
He's not registered, he can't.
Well, there you go. So he's definitely not going to play, is there? Breaking news there on the
Not even squad tonight, it's like...
Yeah. But, I mean, who else is a rival in?
I think it's absolutely gutting that Joshua Zirkzee isn't available. Yeah. It's so frustrating, because he'd be starting without a doubt. We'll talk about Rasmus Hojlund. There's so many comments coming in from the chat about it. We've got Maleki Francis saying, with Hojlund, it's like playing a centre-back up front. Jay says, genuine question, why did you lot rate Rasmus in the first place? Always looked out of place to people who understand football. Ian says, Melby in the chat. John Lawrence says, Beth, oh, come on, I'm not reading that out, because it's just, no. XSN as well. Rasmus is crap, can't start him, false 9 for me. Well, let's talk about the striker conversation. Let's get into it. I'm not joking. If De Ligt was fit, I would be seriously tempted to start Maguire up front and De Ligt at centre back. If De Ligt was fit, he's not, so we can't do it. But if we had all of our centre backs fit, Maguire up front would be more of a handful.
That's a hot take, man.
I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's the truth. I'll be honest. Even Tul said it when we were watching the game. He was like, "Do you see Maguire's movement? Like the way he kind of
he came on side. Like that's a striker who does that.
That
if you actually have a look,
for the offside goal. I'm sorry.
And Hojlund was actually about 5 yards offside. So he's doing what the striker should be doing.
It's different. It's different when you start a game as a striker. If Harry Maguire starts that game to play 90 minutes, it's all right going up for the odd corner and making a nuisance of yourself, or the last 5 minutes of the match, throwing the big man up or whatever. Put it in mixer. Look for the big man, but come on, seriously, starting it. And you know what?
Do you think it'd be worse?
No, and this is what I was actually going to say to you, and the fact I agree is the fact
Van der Ven be coming out shaking.
It says more about Hojlund than what it does than Harry Maguire. Nothing against Harry Maguire there, who played very, very well this evening. But that would be such a huge call, man. It's huge.
He wouldn't do it, obviously he's not going to do it. Obviously, right?
No.
He would.
Well, if Beth Amarim was in charge here, then she's playing Harry Maguire number 9.
I wouldn't. But if all our centre-backs were fit, I'd be tempted. If all our centre-backs were fit, I genuinely would be tempted, but they're not, because we're going to start a final, I think, with Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw as the back three, because Yoro and De Ligt are still out, and I don't think they're going to be back. So I think that will be the back three. Maybe one of them can, like maybe Yoro, but I don't think he's going to be fit and available to start. So we've been on the ground with centre-backs as it is, so you can't do it. But if you had all of your centre-backs fit, that's the best position quality-wise that we have, and Maguire's proved to be a threat. He'd at least offer something. He'd offer an outlet. I mean, on that, we'll bring more super chats in, but would you start Hojlund up front for the final, or would you do a false 9 situation if it was solely down to you? Tul, I'll start with you.
I can look at this from 2 different ways. So I can play devil's advocate a little bit with Hojlund. Obviously, look, I've given Hojlund so much stick this season. And overall, on the entire season, it's been incredibly poor from him. However, if you want to isolate it down to just the Europa League, he did play his part in Bilbao and he did play his part against Lyon. And if you want to isolate it to that, maybe you can make a case that he's earned his spot from those Europa League performances. However, with the players we've got available, if you were going to change anything up top, the only one I can think that could make a tiny little bit of sense would be Bruno false 9, and maybe you put Ahmad and Garnacho beside him as the 10s. That's the only other logical, plausible, potential way of doing it. But I think he'll go Hojlund. I think he did, and he did play quite a big part in the semis and the quarters, and I think he's probably managed to get in off the back of that. But as a whole of the season, like, look, it's not. It fills you with no. It fills you with no confidence, like no confidence at all.
If I'm watching that as a manager this evening, and I think that's a good shout with Bruno, because I know it was under Eric Ten Hag, FA Cup final against Manchester City. You know, you knew tactically United had to be absolutely spot on, and they went with it. You know, Amarim has done it this evening, this season. He's done it with Kobbie Mainoo. He's played Mainoo as a false 9 and dropped Hojlund to the bench. So you don't know, you know. It's fast approaching, but I don't see Hojlund starting this game on Wednesday. I just do not see it. I think he'll go with somebody, a technician, whether it's a number 10, whatever, the false 9, and it's somebody then that can drop into midfield, and it gives you that extra option in the midfield. As an outlet then, yes, if you've got a Garnacho and Ahmad, whoever it's going to be in them number 10s, you've still got goal threats there. But at this moment in time, I'm going to say you're only as good as your last game. Hojlund, for me, I know you can talk about past games in the Europa League, but he didn't do enough for me this evening as an audition. No chance.
I also think you've got to think about, you know, if you're their centre-backs from Aaron van der Ven, who would you rather play up against? Hojlund, Bruno, Kobbie, Maguire? I'm joking. Maguire won't stand. It's just a bit tongue-in-cheek. But, like, they're not... I think as a centre-back, I would worry Bruno more than what Hojlund would. I don't think Amarim will do Bruno false 9. I think if he was going to do a false 9, I think it'd be Kobbie, because that's what he's done before. I don't think he's ever played Bruno false 9. I think if anything, he's played him deeper, and he's a 6. I know Ten Hag did that, but I think if he was going to go with a false 9, I think it would be Kobbie, because that's what he's done before. But I think he'll go with Hojlund. And as bad as Hojlund was tonight, I would still go with Hojlund, just because he does do the groundwork, and then you could sub him later on in the game. But it's only because he's literally the only option.
I think it's a waste of a substitution myself.
Maybe.
But it's going to be huge, isn't it? You know, you look at the substitutions you can make, you're taking a proper gamble on that. You know, if it doesn't pay off and he puts in a performance like he has this evening, where he's not laid a glove on, you know, he's not really... Even Mordzs, you said to me, you know, if you're a defender, you'd fancy, if you see him on the team sheet, Hojlund.
I would take him,
you said you'd take him, even. Yeah,
I would though.
Exactly. And then you'll say, what, start him in the Europa League final, like one of the biggest games in Manchester United's history for years.
Yeah, you're right.
He's not causing problems or issues for people, you know. I know he's not a Carlos Tevez, a Cavani, an Ibrahimovic, a Rooney or whatever. You can't even mention him in the same breath, but he doesn't cause issues. He doesn't hold the ball up. He doesn't even, you know, when's the last time you just seen him get the ball on the deck and run? He's supposed to be one of the quickest players at United.
Do you know what, Kev? You convinced me into the false nine.
Come on, I'm trying to sell this to you.
That's not carry on.
A lot of people are questioning when I'm saying groundwork. I just mean the pressing and running the channels. That's all I mean, really. I mean, there's not much to go off. The only thing, like Tul was saying, I think in that first leg against Athletic Club, and that feels like a long time ago now, I remember Amarim saying that's probably the best game that Hojlund's played under him. But against Premier League teams, he's bad. And we're playing a Premier League team. He has scored against Spurs this season though, Hojlund, but still, it's just not.
I'm trying to put myself in Amarim's shoes, and I feel like, would you really? It's such a big change to the system. And I just think, imagine how much you'd kick yourself if you'd gone unbeaten in the Europa League and you've put 12 goals in the back of the net between the quarters and the semi-finals, and then you change your striker and you get beat. You're just never gonna forgive yourself. I think if you look at it on paper and you go, we've scored 12 goals over quarterfinals and semi-finals, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I know that against a Premier League team.
That's the spanner in the works. I know that's the spanner in the works, and I feel for Amarim. he must be having sleepless nights.
Yeah, I feel for Amarim. That's what I was going to say, because I feel like either way, if we lose, he's going to kick himself. Because if he keeps it with Hojlund, and let's say Hojlund misses a big chance like he's done before, or he just is invisible in the game and we go and lose, then he's going to kick himself thinking, I should have saw this coming. Like I had the whole year to see that I shouldn't play this guy in my team, and he plays him in the final in his biggest game and we lose. Not because of him, but he's a factor as to why we didn't win. He's going to kick himself because why didn't I just change it? Like I could have changed it at any moment, but I didn't. I stuck with it, and he goes and loses. But then if he loses as well and it's like he does change it, it's like, I should have just stuck to what I've known. Yeah. That's been his philosophy this whole year. I'm going to do what I know to do. And if we suffer, we suffer. So if he carries on with that mentality, that means he's going to continue to play Hojlund and we're going to continue to suffer. But that's what he's, that's not what he's wanted, but that's what he's told us already. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, whether you like it or not, until things change and things get better. So that's why I do think he is going to continue to do it, because that's been his mentality all season. And I do think he is, that's, like you said, stuck in that two minds of, if we lose though, I'm going to kick myself, because there is something else that I could have done, but because I've told everyone I'm not going to do it, I'm going to stick to what I know.
There is no room for sentiment in football. You cannot look and say, oh, because he scored a couple of goals early on in this tournament. Yeah. You know, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. At this moment in time, playing Rasmus Hojlund as a number 9 at Manchester United is not working. By continuing to do that and expecting something different, pure hopes and dreams, moments, let's hope he scores a goal, is absolutely crazy. In one of the biggest games, like I say, post Sir Alex Ferguson, and you are hoping, and that's all you lot are doing really here now, making a defence for Hojlund, is hoping that he has a good game. And that's why Amarim has to do the best for himself. He has to do the best for Manchester United and give the team the best chance to win this game. And for me, it does not start.
Well, Amarim himself has spoken about Rasmus Hojlund. I mean, Roy Keane has as well. Roy Keane said he looks like he's just come out of the academy. £72 million. Ruben Amarim had £72 million. Is a lot of money in it. Ruben Amarim has said on Rasmus Hojlund, I'm happy. All of the team has to improve, but the way he runs, he fights for every ball. He loses a lot of duels, but also wins some duels. He needs to improve the connection, but he is improving. He just needs to continue. He just needs to continue to work hard, and better days will come. That's him backing him. I think he'll start. Maybe then you just never know. Kev's not certain.
Listen, he's not going to come out the end. He's the only recognised striker. He's hardly going to come out the end of this game and say and single out a player and say Rasmus Hojlund was dreadful today. You know, what a waste of money. I didn't sign him. It was a previous manager, this, that. My management style now, there's no way you can knock him down. Confidence-wise, Hojlund's on the floor anyway. Well. He's lower than a snake's belly. He's as low as you can get. So he can't knock him. He needs to try and build him up. Even if in his head he's thinking, I'm not going to start him, he's still got an option to bring him on the same way that Erik ten Hag did in the FA Cup final. Rasmus come on for about the last sort of 8 or 9 minutes of that game, and did make an impact, because at that time it was back to the walls and he was an outlet. And when he did come on, in fairness, the instruction must have been, whenever you get that ball, you run at City's backline and keep the ball as far away from the goal as you can. And he did it. He won fouls up the field and he was a part of the squad that day. But as a first teamer starting that game, if I'm Kevin Amarim, he's just not starting. Like I say, it's just too much of a huge game to be hoping that a player's going to turn up that day.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a player at United with such low confidence either. Like, do you know what? I don't know if any of you've seen it, but there was an instance today where Ahmad did a nice piece of play on the edge, and he gave it to Hojlund on the edge of the box, and he did everything but get his shot off, and then ended up losing the ball. And I thought, mate, you're not even enjoying playing football. Yeah. Like,
I saw a video before the game.
Who doesn't shoot there?
I saw a video of him before the game, him missing in the drills, like point blank in front of the goal, and he took a touch and skied it over the bar. I just thought, how is that, like, how do we expect this player to go out and play a full 90-minute game and score if that's what's going on before the game?
Oh, I don't even want to get started on what you see in the pre-match warm-ups, because it's just, I think...
Well, that's where you go. Get it out your system now, and once the game starts. But
even like the rondos, it's comparing it to like, even like teams like Ajax. It's like, what is going on here?
And in fairness, he's not missing chances. You think of the West Ham one.
He's just not getting any. Ever in the right
it's not like he's missing 4 or 5 big chances a game where you think, you know, he's just not cut out for it. You think of the West Ham chance at the weekend when he's 3 yards out. I know that the keeper saves it, but again, you think, how big are them nets? You know what I mean? If you're a striker, you're picking out corners, low, hard, you have to be instinctive. But I agree with Tul, man. Confidence-wise, I've seen players low. Diego Forlan went 20-odd games without scoring, and the relief when he finally scored, you know, was absolutely huge. But, you know, Rasmus did score not too long ago in a Premier League game. You know, was it Bournemouth?
Scored at Bilbao, second leg.
Yeah, but, you know, in terms of a Premier League goal, and you've seen the relief on his face at the end, and a lot of people jumped on that. Oh, you know, bro thinks he's just scored, you know, in the Champions League final and that. It wasn't. It was the relief of what he's gone through. He will read online what's being said about him, you know. But that's what you will read, you know. Look at this, it's embarrassing, the standards, this, that. It was a moment for him, you know. And listen, if he scores the winner on Wednesday, I'd be absolutely bloody delighted, like.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from, and I think a lot of people share that frustration. This is one just to bring in. Man United will end the campaign without winning back-to-back league games for the first time ever in the competition's history. We've not won back-to-back league games all season. We can't now, because we've only got one left in Villa.
Wow. We can't win 2.
That guy, poor
He is not getting his hair cut, man.
He's going to have to like lift it up like a dress, like a veil.
It's literally, that is crazy, man.
That's crazy.
He is literally going to be doing videos on TikTok saying day 5,084 of not getting my hair cut. You won't even be able to see him. It'll just be like a massive hair, man.
Also, Ruben Amorim has said, in this club, you need to win, and we are not winning games. But tonight's game helped me a lot to choose the starting 11 for the final, so we'll see.
Can I just read out the stat as well, yeah? Everyone remembers that Derby team, the worst team ever, Premier League history, right? Listen to this stat.
Don't say we're comparing to that.
No, listen to the stat. Ruben Amorim has won 24 points in 26 Premier League games, a points per game ratio of 0.92. This is lower than Paul Jewell's Premier League points per game, which was 0.94, who managed 24 winless games at Derby when they finished on 11 points in 2008. He has a lower win ratio than the worst Derby team of all time, the worst Premier League team of all time.
It makes you feel insane sometimes, doesn't it?
That is.
It makes you feel like it makes you feel like, what are we doing?
We look at that Derby team. We look at that Derby team as being like not even a championship-worthy team. That's how bad they were.
Yeah, it was the benchmark of the worst Premier League team
of all time.
in history.
Amarim's got a lower points ratio than them.
Do you know, we've heard some damning stats like recently.
That's
about
the
United.
most damning one I think
That
that's
one-
the
what
What are you
Whatever.
bringing that to the table
Sorry,
for,
she read the
Mordzs?
stats, so I just thought,
That is,
Not a big game here on Wednesday.
that's by far the
that-
worst one.
Wow.
that's worried. Like, does that not make your chest just beat? Like,
It worries me.
Yeah.
It worries me going into next season. But I do believe in him somehow. I do.
know.
I do believe he's stripping the club right back to the core, and I believe that is. I believe him when he says we are suffering, and this is him. It's like an exorcism. You know what I mean? Like he's
Worse.
stripping everything out.
I like
and
that.
And like the bad is coming out, and we're bad, and like we're
bad.
awful. But I do believe that he's stripping it all out and given the tools. Hopefully, please God, can we win the Europa League so this guy can get some players in, man. But if we get the players in, it's still next season's not going to be perfect. But I do believe he will start to build a team that can begin to look like a decent team at least, and then
It's all
we keep
hope,
moving
though.
up.
It
all-
is hope,
It's all
mate.
hopes and dreams. It's all hopes.
You know,
and
if we don't
dreams.
win that Europa League final, that is all we're left with. That is all
We're gonna look
left
at it
with
for
If we
this
don't win the
season.
Europa
My
League
God.
final, we are in massive trouble.
Yeah.
Massive trouble.
That's what's keeping me awake at night, because I'm starting. I am hopeful and optimistic, but it's that massive if. And this game could go each way. But what I keep asking myself now is, this season has been an absolute disaster anyway. But it's like, if we don't win it on Wednesday night, I just don't know what I'm going to be like on
my God,
on Thursday. It is going to be
Sunday.
such, you know. Oh, sorry.
Sunday.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is a stat to combat that, because it's a terrible stat.
Sorry, guys.
Man United are the only team unbeaten in Europe this season.
It's mad, isn't it?
Love that.
Yeah, it just doesn't add up.
And do you know what? I hope we continue with that. But before the super chats come in, it's wild because we've literally not won a Premier League game since March against Leicester, who are a Championship side.
Yeah.
But we still all have faith that we're going to win on Wednesday. I don't know how against
We're
the Premier
delusional.
League side.
Because we're a cup team, man.
Especially when we
delusional.
can't score goals
Manchester
in the league.
City
we can't
FA
score
Cup.
goals in the league.
Yeah, I went into that, and I you know, where you've got a bit of blind optimism, but at the same time you are so fearful. And don't get me wrong, Tottenham are nowhere near Manchester City's level. So what we achieved in the FA Cup final last year, you know, was huge, because it kind of turned up and thought, expect the worst, you know, if we can stay in the game, which we did, we scored the goals. I just, sometimes with this team, they do let you down more than often. You're talking about exorcisms there. Watching Manchester United this season is like watching a horror movie, more or less every other
It's like
week.
being in an electric chair.
But they can just, I said it the other week, they're like a tap, and they decide when they want to switch it on. And I just think you've got characters in that team, Casemiro, Bruno, you've got experienced players, even Harry Maguire falls into that category. I just think that they will really, really rise to this challenge on Wednesday, and I hope I don't get clipped up here and put out, and then if we get beat, it's going to be a show.
No, I think we're going to win, but I have no reason for it, though. That's
There's
literally
no
my thing.
logic behind it.
There's no logic behind
and where
it.
you can
but
play off
other
the
than
fact that
us-
we're unbeaten, we're only unbeaten European team. You know, you look at, how did we stick 7 past Bilbao over 2 legs, who were 4th in the league and stuff like that. But it's, of course we've got a chance, and we need the big game players to turn up. And I
they're
think if
bad
we
as
get
well.
the first goal, we build on that.
Yeah, I think we're looking at they're just terrible as well. That's
This
another
is
thing.
interesting. Amarim has confirmed that Casemiro, Luke Shaw and Mason Mount all came off to protect them for the final. Hints that Mount might start the final.
My prediction might be right. That's big though.
Does that mean Garnacho starts?
Depends. My 11 has both of them in.
Ricky,
you said
Ricky
who?
texted me before saying Garnacho won't play the final. I don't think Mount will.
Yeah.
I still think both do. I think.
You hear with Bruno and Casemiro?
Yeah, I think you could go Bruno, Casemiro, Ahmad right wing back, Mount, Garnacho, Hojlund.
I think it's a bit too risky. It's a bit
I really.
I thought I told you on this false 9 thing. What's I know.
I don't think Ahmad will play wing back.
I just think Garnacho starts.
I just don't think he'll play in all of our biggest games this season. He's played a full back at wing back, and I don't think he'll trust him against Son and Udogie coming at him. As much as I love Ahmad there, I don't think he'll play him at wing back.
But I think the whole this whole thing about like playing fullbacks is better defensively. I've seen our fullbacks get ripped. I saw Maguire
That's
get
right,
ripped
it was
today.
on toast today.
He got absolutely cut by Nani.
Yeah.
If he got cut by Nani, you can get cut by Son, you can get cut by Udogie, you can get cut by all of the attacking players. So
I know, but we've played a lot. We've played
I don't think we've
Chelsea, we've played Liverpool, we've played Arsenal, we've played City. Ahmad's not started wing back in any one of the games. He's always started at 10 and he's always played a full back there. He's not going to change if the final. I don't think. Might be wrong.
And I know we're two bad teams going into this, but I watched the start of Spurs today, and they've totally checked out. But what I'm going to say is, I think United. That's why, as a United fan this evening, I look and I think we can take a little bit into that, a little bit of fighting spirit. You know, we played well in that first half. Yeah, we conceded late on. You know, Chelsea wanted it more than us. But from what I've seen of Tottenham, I mean, Son did look good early stages, looked, rapid, back to sort of full pace and that. But I did look at them and I thought they looked, even the manager on the sideline, it's like they've just gone, forget about this, let's go to Wednesday. But it's that sort of, you go into a massive game like that. And again, both teams are exactly the same, aren't they? We're as bad as each other, really.
Yeah. But also, some people in the chat saying, what if he plays Mount falls 9?
It's a debate.
It is.
We don't know. Let's see.
I can't wait for that line to come
I know. Let's bring some super chats in. We have Matthew, if we get offered a Capri Sun for Rasmus, I would take it. Victor Mario says, if we qualify for the UCL, we play more games. Do you think there will be enough time to learn Amarim's system? Because I think he gets sacked if we get players and do not do well in the Champions League or win anything. We are far off too many games. We are far too off it to play that many games next season. It's one of them where he's even admitted we'd be better only playing one game a week, but we need the money from the Champions League, so it's tough.
That's all it is. It's just it's financial.
And that's the way you get players in, so hopefully we'll have a deeper squad.
We're in the Champions League next year, we ain't doing nothing in it.
You never know. You never know.
The players you can attract as well.
Yeah.
You never know. Simply, what Ruben said before the game, isn't it? He was like saying Leicester City nearly get relegated, then they win
Blackburn.
They win the Prem. He referenced Blackburn, he referenced Forest. He was meaning business with that. He's genuinely, obviously believes he wants to challenge next year, even though right now it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, well off.
Simply Red says, Ruben came... why is this not loading here? 1 second. Okay, Ruben came with an agenda and got ahead of himself, or maybe instructions from higher ups. Didn't give Anthony or Rashford a fair go. Can you honestly say he has? It's not an agenda. I think he would have gave Rashford a go if he would have done the right things off the pitch, which he wasn't doing, which is why he got rid of him. We all know that Rashford's probably better than a lot of what we've got, but Amarim's very big on behaviours, and I think that's important to get right at the start of your job.
Yeah, you can't forget that. He sees these guys every day. It's not just what we see on the pitch.
He sees them more than the person who just put the super chat in.
Yeah, he's seeing them every single day.
He's going to know the personality. He's probably sat down with the player. And personality is a huge thing in football now. If you've got somebody there who's not giving it their all in training, and you think they've took their eye off the ball and maybe think that there's something they're not, then you know what I mean. Amarim's not going to. You've seen at Sporting, it wasn't a team of big name superstars that we've had at United. They've come and go like passing ships in the night at Manchester United, haven't they? Taking money out the club. They don't give a shit about the badge or anything. So. With them days now, hopefully they're behind us. We've got a manager really who's doing probably what Ralph Rangnick would have liked to have said. Ralph Rangnick said the words, the peace, open heart surgery. Now you've got a manager who is saying these controversial things at the end of the games. He's saying almost sort of, that he's going to walk away, or he's just kind of leaving it all open after every game, and you're thinking, what's going on? Maybe I'm not the man, I might walk away, this, that, and you're thinking... I don't like the sound of this, but he's basically identifying every single issue that previous Manchester United managers have. So us as supporters can see that. Why should it be any different?
Khaled King says, I'm 45 and not joking, I will play better if I had a beer and smoke in my hand. God Swift 91 says, starting Hojlund is self-sabotage at this point. The groundwork argument does not stand. I'd go Mount false 9. He can also run and press. Interesting point. Decent point. Class of 99 says, put it into perspective. Rashford has 3 goals in 2 starts under Ruben. Rasmus has 4 goals in the entire season. Regardless, who would we be better off with? Khaled King.
Rashford was at number 9.
I'm not sure. I've never been a fan of Rashford.
If you watch Rashford played against Ipswich, didn't he, in Amarim's first game, and I know he scored early on. After that, he did absolutely nothing. And then it's whether behind closed doors, if Rashford said, listen, I don't want to be a number 9, then maybe that's where the issues come from.
I don't think he's a striker anyway.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever.
Rashford arguments are fine, but not at 9. We've seen plenty of Rashford at 9 under Solskjaer when we had injuries.
He's not Ireland, but he's not a 9.
Yeah.
Khaled King says, I wish you win this final, but I will not celebrate if we do this is way too bad now. Ian Tracy said, we raised our game in the Cups the last 2 years despite league form. We have to hope it happens one more time, then start the rebuild in the summer. LJ says, Ten Hag dropped Hojlund for weeks last season to play Scott or Bruno as the 9. It's very concerning that Amarim is sticking with him. Even Ten Hag saw that he was poor. Jacob Fatu says, Maguire against Romero and Van de Ven, come on. XSN says, Beth, you're right, Lord Maguire centre forward. Trina says, hi Beth, I reckon we play false 9 on Wednesday and put Hojlund on against tired legs. They are not making essential passes or trusting each other. They need to turn up to make up for this Premier League season. Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. McEllier says, I've done that one. And Shotta says, Mainu false 9 with Bruno, Ahmad, Cassie, Ugarte and Shaw left wing back. Who are you then playing as left-sided centre-back is the question I'd ask you then. Lee Murphy, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Victor Mario says, watching today's game made me realise that you can keep Ahmad quiet in a game and that scared me. I'm going to be really honest. I think Ahmad was... don't get me wrong, I think he didn't have a good game, but I think his head's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's what I got from that.
I think the start of the game, Ahmad was poor. But I still feel like he's our biggest threat.
He absolutely was.
He was. I mean, that kind of just goes to show how bad we are going forward. But it kind of like something kind of switched with him even like in that game where the start of the game he was losing the ball a lot. I know we haven't even spoke about the game properly anyway, but he was losing the ball a lot at the start of the game and he was a bit sluggish. But as soon as he kind of got his foot onto the ball, and I think it was the second half really, where he was proper running at the defenders, he created, I think, nearly every one of our chances. And I think that Hojlund chance that you were speaking about came from Ahmad as well. So I'm not, I mean, if anyone says, oh, Ahmad, you can silence Ahmad or whatever, I think he's shown today that you can try, but he's still going to get the best of you eventually.
Yeah, I don't even
come back
think...
from injury, hasn't he? He's finding his feet, really. That was all about getting minutes under his belt. And
I don't even think it was that they locked Ahmad off either. I just think it was Ahmad had a poor start, and it's like he went in at half-time and splashed his face with cold water. he came out and looked like normal. He came out and looked like Ahmad again, so... Yeah, but he was poor in the first half. It was weird. He just couldn't keep the ball down. He couldn't pass the ball. It's strange to see because it's Ahmad. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're not used to seeing it.
And in terms of a cup final spot, he's one of the first team names on the team sheet. And I know people will say, well, why have you not got the same energy for Hojlund? Ahmad has not been consistently poor. He's just coming back from injury. And as you said, Mordzs, you can see what he's trying to do as well. He makes things happen, doesn't he?
I don't think he's been poor at all. I think that's a straight...
No, but some people might throw it back going, well, you just said Hojlund didn't play well this evening, but, he doesn't start the final. But I'm like, Ahmad hasn't been consistently... Do you know what I mean? He's carried us to an extent a hell of a lot this season. We were talking about the Southampton game, the Manchester City goal, which has been voted the fans' sort of goal of the season, and moments like that, the goal at Anfield. Scored big goals this season, Ahmad. So for me, he's a big game player, and whether it's right wing back, whether it's a number 10, he's in that team, and that's why he's one of them players now that you certainly wrap in cotton wool until Wednesday now. Yeah.
Danny HMM for 9 months says these players have had 6 months to learn the Amarim way, and we should be hitting the ground running next season. No excuses. Tlotso says, hi Beth, we'll easily win the Europa League. Spurs are worse than us. On Amarim, no manager has spent more than a year at Nice since Ineos took over. This is different.
Yeah.
It's different kettle of fish. One thing I would say is, what do you reckon they were thinking when the camera panned onto them?
Yeah.
Sir Jim.
The
Wilcox.
Ratcliffe.
Probably just thinking about Wednesday.
You need to do something quickly, I would say, on that one. No excuses in an interview can make up for what we're seeing right now, to be honest with you. Khaled King says, Beth, I wish we had De Gea for the final. Wink. I'm not even baiting into that comment. I'm not even baiting into it.
You know you want to bite. Come on, Beth.
I'm not biting. Let's not talk about the last Europa League final.
Morgan, I'm going to say though, Onana today was this close to making a mistake.
With that little, it was like a basketball
Even
shot.
the penalty was very close. He did get the ball though, so it wasn't a penalty, but he was very close to making a mistake.
I worry about Onana. Shot task, put Aiden at left centre-back, Dorgu, wasteful, Shaw better left wing-back. You know what? If Aiden was anywhere near fit, I'd so consider it, but he's going to be used as a sub in that game max.
He might not even come on.
Yeah.
It's too soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could tell he looked rusty when he come on, didn't he?
Oh, yeah,
He flew into
he's
that
got
challenge,
absolutely no shot.
Trying to take it around Cole Palmer in his own box, overhits the pass, and then he's committed, and you're kind of looking at it thinking,
well off the pace, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be fine though, eventually.
Yeah, I think so. I think he will be. My screen keeps glitching. It is so annoying. Pay for better Wi-Fi, people. I wanted to read out this super chat, but I haven't got it. But going ahead to the final, guys, because that is what is on everybody's minds. One thing I will say is Spurs also got beat tonight. The team they were playing probably had maybe 1 or 2 starters in it that might start the final for them. Ange also did this against Crystal Palace. He rotated the team massively. That means a lot of their starters won't have played like sharp football in 2 weeks. I think that could go against him.
Yeah,
I agree.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I really think that could be an advantage for us. And, I get he's trying to rest Romero and Van der Vaart and Udogie. These are players that have had a lot of injuries in their best players. If you're not fully match sharp, you could go down with an injury within 20 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, and even though we've not been great, I mean, you look at the West Ham game, a lot of these players that have played against West Ham this evening, you would imagine, are going to start the final. So in that sense, match fitness-wise, they've got that in the tank. And it could work one way, it could work the other way. But from a United perspective, now that we've got through this evening, and for me it was all about pride, passion, don't go out and embarrass yourselves, you've got a big final, don't be pulling out of like tackles like, silly or whatever. But the fact that the final is so huge, and I'll go with that, 100%.
Okay, so if you were Ruben Amarim going into that final, Mordzs, I'm not asking you because we've got a little bit of content coming up. But if you were Ruben Amarim, Kev, what would your starting 11 be?
This is all ifs. If certain people are fit.
But let's just say based on Dalot not being fit, De Ligt not being fit, Euro not being fit.
And Amarim has confirmed after this game there's no fresh injury concerns. Everyone's still fit.
Yeah.
So we're basing it off the fact Euro's out, De Ligt's out, Xerxes out, and Martinez is obviously out.
Dalot.
And Dalot's out.
So I mean, it's going to be similar to this evening, but from my point of view, I don't think Hojlund starts.
You started from the top.
No, I mean, right.
Go for your 11.
Yeah.
So he was at the back this evening. Get me thinking now.
Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw.
Because Heaven's
we've
not
got,
going to
really,
be.
yeah. It's what played tonight.
I think the back 3 will be the same.
Lindelof, Shaw, Maguire.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the wing backs will be the same.
Dorgu, Mazraoui.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I think the midfield would be Casemiro and Ugarte as the 2. And then I honestly think that Bruno's going to play the false 9. I have got this in my head now, which would leave the 2...
Ahmad.
Garnacho or Mount you could go with.
I think it will be Ahmad and Mount.
He did say Mount is rested for the final though, so
That might be to come off the bench.
She said don't necessarily mean start.
yeah.
But Tul, what would yours be?
I thought about this when you were talking about yours earlier. Not too different from you two, but so I'd go Onana, Mazraoui right centre back, Maguire, Shaw left centre back, Dorgu left wing back. I know you say it might not happen. I personally would put Ahmad right wing back. I'd go Ugarte, Casemiro. I think it's got to be Ugarte, Casemiro in the middle. Just wouldn't change it from what's been working in the Europa League. And I'd go Bruno's
got to be in there.
Yeah, Bruno. I would go Casemiro, Bruno maybe. I don't know if he'd do it. I'll go Casemiro, Bruno, Ahmad, Garnacho, Hojlund. But I don't know.
Wait,
what?
Played Ahmad at wing back though.
Yeah.
Sugar, yeah, forgot. Hold on.
Playing him in.
I'd go.
I wish I could double
that's
him.
fine. I
really do wish I could double him.
I was going all right then. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, so Ahmad right wing back, Dorgu left wing back, Casemiro, Ugarte, Bruno, Garnacho, Hojlund. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. I started doing another 11 then halfway through because I'm caught in like 5 minds.
Without ruining this video, did you put Ugarte in your starting 11?
We can't tell you, Kev.
Yeah, man.
Spoiler alert. I was listening to you two on Countdown to Kickoff.
Yeah.
Slandering Ugarte.
I wasn't slandering
Only a
him.
squad player, you said.
I wasn't slandering him.
He's a squad player. You're nearly as bad as that guy at the Evening News saying that, what was it, Mazraoui's
I'd never say
decent
that about
squad player.
Our new star Mazraoui. I'm not saying Ugarte's I'm not.
You did?
No. I am saying it. I am saying Ugarte's a squad player. I stand by that. But I'm not saying he's. There's nothing wrong with being a squad player for a team that's competing at the top. I'm saying if United want to compete at the top level, which we're currently not, I think he would be a squad player. I don't think he starts in like a City, an Arsenal, or like a Liverpool.
He doesn't.
I don't think he starts in a top team, which is what we want to be. For now, yeah.
I was going to say we're not.
But I do think you need a player like that in your squad, and I'm happy we bought him. I think he's got good attributes. I think people are way too harsh on him. It's like when you tweet, I really love pancakes, and someone's like, why do you hate waffles? Like, so out of context. It's like, I'm not saying I don't like Ugarte. I think there's a lot of good things. He wins the ball, help the pitch, he creates good turnovers, creates counter-attacks for us, he covers a lot of ground, brings that passion. I like him, but I just don't think he's trustworthy enough in possession. So that's why I'm just a little bit dubious in the future of him being a starter. But there's a lot of players that aren't nailed on starters that have gone down as seriously good players for their clubs and have contributed a lot.
I think he brings more to the team. I honestly do. I think.
So if you had a choice next season, would you start Ugarte? As in, like, if you had a choice of bringing somebody else as well, would you still start Ugarte?
Yeah, but it depends who you put next to him. I think he's been, massively exposed as well with certain players that he's played in there with in his defence. I think the fact he's not even played a pre-season at United, he's come in. So maybe in reference to that question, I would say, well, maybe once he's got a pre-season, under him, and then next season we might see him. But of course I read the messages. When you were talking on Countdown to Kickoff, I can see comments coming in.
It's nice to know you're watching, Kev.
I was watching, man. For United stand, oh God, just sat home watching, thinking I want to be on there talking. But yeah, I see the mixed reaction, and I like looking at them comments, and I'm seeing people saying, oh, PSG had us right over here, man. They knew that they're getting rid of this player, and I'm thinking, Amarim has managed this player before. Dorgu's the only player he's signed, but I see Ugarte as being like a pivotal part of the way that this system is actually going to work. But I do think it's down to the fact that we know Casemiro's not going to be kind of here long term. It's who goes in next to him. But he's had some great games this season where we have praised him, and rightly so. You look and think the distance he covers in front of that back three, he's almost been a shield, and I do think he deserves praise. Yes, he's dropped off slightly. There's been niggly injuries or whatever, but I think he's been decent. I wouldn't put him in the category of what a waste of money. We've been done here and this and that. But again, he's not even had a pre-season.
I think you bang on the money to mention Casemiro. The one thing I give Ugarte massive credit for, I think he has brought the best out of Casemiro. I think this Casemiro resurgence, I think having Ugarte next to him doing a lot of that leg work, a lot of that ball winning, you know, it's almost like it's like having an extra 2 men on the pitch then. It's like, because you're raising Casemiro's, raising Casemiro's levels so high. I think that's what you guys been best for.
He's doing a lot of covering for him, but at the same time, it is working because it's complementing each other. But what I'm trying to say is, let's say next season, Amarim does mix that up and he gets somebody with the same kind of engine as Ugarte in there, then Ugarte's not going to be, you know, running at 100 all the time, because he's going to have somebody else who can do that work. Who that person is, I don't know. I'm sure Amarim will have ideas of how he wants to develop that area of the field. But
yeah, I think with Ugarte, I think you spot on, to be fair. But I also agree with Beth. I think it is more of a case of Ugarte is a good player. He's a good footballer. Like you said, he understands Amarim's system. But if we are going to want to be at the top of football, we're not going to be the next season, but if in the next 2 years or whatever it is, if we are going to want to be competing with Liverpool's, Arsenal's, City's, or other big teams in Europe, I mean, we're in the Champions League next year, if we are going to want to be playing against these teams, we're going to need, the quality of our players is going to need to increase. Yes, you might fit the system, but fitting the system isn't enough to say that you're good enough to play at that level. That makes sense. I watched a video the other day of Bangladesh. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. There was a video of Bangladesh and they were playing out the back and everyone was like, oh, Bangladesh can do it, why can't Amarim do it? And I was just like, any team can play out the back against dead opposition. You know what I mean? Like, you can play, any team can like have a system and make it work, but it depends on who they're playing against. Ugarte is a good player and he was good on the Amarim against the competition that Amarim's playing against. Amarim's not United. We need players who can play a system but at a higher standard. I just feel like right now Ugarte isn't at that highest standard. Same with like Dorgu. I think Dorgu is a good wing back, but he's not at the highest standard that we need him to be right now. So maybe in the future he will be, but right now he's not. So that's what I feel like with Ugarte.
Interesting. Kev's going to come with the I Love Ugarte shirt on next week.
yeah, I am going to make them up.
And that's
New United Stand merch dropping.
And that's the good thing about the forum, and you can have different opinions, and that's exactly what it's all about, and I love it. And we'll see whether he does start the final. I think it's going to be an interesting one. But on that, I completely agree with everything you said, Mordzs, but obviously it's not just Ugarte. There's many areas of the pitch where we need to improve, many areas. There's only a few that
And we can't get ahead of ourselves, can we? I mean, you're talking there, you know, oh, if we want to be, you know, here and there, then Ugarte is not good enough to get us there. Well,
that's not what I said.
It was along them lines.
I said, but if we want to be competing at that level, to get us to that point, Ugarte is a good player. But if you want to be competing at that level against those teams, I don't think he's good enough to compete against the Liverpools.
We are on that journey, so it's up to Amarim, you know, and a lot is to do with the Europa League, and if we can win that and get the money for the Champions League, the players that you can attract, I do think if you've got better players in around him, he will look a totally different player. But let's see, because it's all, you know, hope
up in the air.
Ifs and buts. That's what
we've got to get in the top 6 before we start talking.
I do think a pre-season will be huge for him as well.
Yeah.
Shotta says, what about Mazraoui left centre back, Harry, Victor, Ahmad right wing back, Shaw left wing back? Everyone's getting their options in. Everyone's got a different way they're setting up the back five.
I like that though. It's
Tan Tran says Mount, Garner, Bruno, Cassie Ugarte, Ahmad Dorgu, Shaw, Maguire, Mazraoui. So he wants Mount up front.
It just shows how crap we are, really, doesn't it? Because really, if we were like competing and successful and that, really this team should pick itself. It shouldn't even be a debate, maybe with the exception of maybe one player or something where you might go, oh, I might tweak that or whatever. But because we've been consistently bad this season, it really is just a matter of opinion. You know, do you play Hojlund? Do you not? You know, in the midfield, do you play Ugarte with Casemiro? Do you play Bruno with Casemiro? Do you Bruno with Ugarte? There's so many things, and the difference of opinions it'll be great.
Matthew said, if we don't play false 9, it's gross negligence. GC says, if peak ages are 26 to 29, just how many have we got in that age range? You can't expect kids to be consistent and not learn from an older player. I mean, we talk about the kid argument a lot. We'll park that for now. But I wanted to... It's just slipped my mind then what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Victor Lindelof. Victor Lindelof is who I wanted to talk about to kind of round up the show. I noticed a lot of you guys didn't speak about him starting the final. He started today. He started the Athletic Club games, 2 important games for Amarim. I know he's not the future of this club, But what is your reason for not starting him in the final?
He scares me.
I started him, by the way. I said
Yeah,
the
you
same
did,
back
Kev.
3 years
You
today.
did, Kev.
I'm in the Ricky hot seat, that's why. I'm like, yeah, start Lindelof.
He scares me.
No, he scares me too much.
man.
Defensively, he scares me. I think he can get caught out in the air. I think he can be too far up and get the ball put in behind him, and he's not quick enough to get back. Yeah, on the ball, I think he's actually very good on the ball. It's just defensively, I've seen him get done too many times.
Yeah,
I think he's been decent recently.
I think he's been good.
it's been all right. I think just the standard so low, a decent performance is like the basics for us right now. And as well, I look at when it comes to that back 3 plus the wing backs, I look at the partnerships and I look at, let's say on the right hand side, let's say he plays Ahmad as the right wing back, and he plays Lindelof. Or even if he plays Mazraoui and Lindelof, that scares me even more. You know what I mean?
Combination.
Yeah, the combination doesn't give me so much confidence, and it's mainly because of Lindelof. You know what I mean? And I feel like on the other side, Dorgu is. I feel like defensively, to be fair, Dorgu is all right. I've used it even in the room when he had that last minute. Remember those last 2 sprints back, and I just thought
He's very athletic.
It was incredible.
we literally watched it and we were like, he sprinted, but he outpaced. I think it was Cucurella and Mazraoui in at the 96th minute, and then about 30 seconds later, he sprinted back again, and then he won the ball back. I thought, who on earth in our team in the 97th minute, playing 90 minutes of football, could do that? It was insane. So I feel like Dorgu has that tank in him, but on the other side, I look at Lindelof and I think, well, he's not at the tank in him, and then I think, well, whoever plays right wing back has to have that in them. And if Ahmad's going forward a lot, it's like that's a very risky part of our pitch where they can really take advantage of. And Son will probably be playing on left hand side because they're probably going to play Solanke up front. That's going to be hard, you know what I mean? So
that's where you have to get them combinations right. And I've said that's why Maguire's been playing so well. Is because when he's in a back 3, he's a lot more comfortable, but you have to get the combinations right because you need the pace in there. You talk about the ball over the top, you need the 3 players that have played when Maguire's usually there, whether it was Martinez, whether it was Yoro, even De Ligt to an extent, you had players that masked each other's imperfections. So in theory, Maguire, who's not quick, you had Yoro who could drop in behind, and height-wise, everything, and they all masked each other's sort of imperfections, so it works. But I agree, if you've got, say, Lindelof and Ahmad on that side, if you're Tottenham, you're going to be looking at targeting that, and you need to lock it down, really, don't you? And Amarim's not daft, is he? Yeah. Or is he? I don't know.
Well, do you want me to read out what Ricky said?
Yeah.
God.
Ricky said, a lot of people were saying that Manchester United were the better team in the first half. Until it got a bit desperate and disjointed right near the end, it looked to me that that's our best possible back 3, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw. So, he's back in that back 3. He'd probably play that back 3 if everyone was fit knowing him. Don't get me wrong, I do think Yoro and De Ligt is a huge miss. Huge. I forgot even what Marnes plays like at this point. But
Yoro particularly for me is I'm so gutted.
I am absolutely gutted. Yoro, yeah, mainly, and De Ligt. But I'm still, I don't know if this will come back to bite me. I'm comfortable enough with Shaw, Maguire and Lindelof, I think.
It's not as huge as, remember the FA Cup final when we got the news that Varane and Martinez were back in the team.
If Yoro randomly makes a resurgence for the final, that would be insane, by the way. Because he would still be match fit.
Like Undertaker.
Because he'll have only missed 1 game, which is today.
Yeah.
You don't know. Amarim might be not even. Imagine if Yoro is not even really that injured, right?
Just hiding him.
And he's just hiding. And then he comes to the final. I love
Literally
it.
wraps up in cotton wool just at Carrington like that.
Imagine if he's like hiding De Ligt or someone. Just in the bag and he's ready.
So we're in Dreamland here, guys.
That'd be like Mourinho-esque.
Hiding Xerxes. Actually, could be back, to be fair.
You wouldn't put it past him though, would you?
Yeah.
Mind games and all that. And it would give United a huge lift as well, because you'd be thinking...
Anyway, guys, let's wrap up with our man of the match, if you can find one.
Harry Maguire, it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Maguire.
Casemiro I thought was quite good.
Yeah, and we didn't even, well, I know you touched on it, but the goal and VAR, we could run another whole show on that. I know we've had instances where we benefited from, like you think of Coventry in the FA Cup semi-final and things like that. But when a quarter of Harry Maguire's knees offside. I'm just not having it, man. The poor guy ran off, celebrated, probably said to Hojlund, that's how you do it. You get back in position, and then they're like, we're looking at something, and I'm thinking, don't make it be his head's offside or something. And then you're talking about that of his knee, and I'm thinking, game's gone, man. Game's dead.
For me, it is actually terribly...
What's the point of having a Lions person, should we say, these days?
Probably won't have it for long.
Man?
Probably won't have it for long.
They don't
Probably
do
be a robot.
anything. Yeah. They don't even give throw-ins anymore. They get overruled. The referee will be like, no, it's that way. What's the point? They don't give offsides. They don't do anything.
That Ahmad got booked for diving and George didn't, by the way.
Yeah. So and then he gives a penalty for Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? We said straight away, an hour and a touch, that's not a penalty. Right, let's spend 4 minutes having a look at it now. And then send him over the monitor, let him have a look. No, it's not a penalty, that.
I am Jake, he says, I don't want to be disrespectful, but Ugarte not a top team starter? Question mark. Are we watching the same games? Lindelof a starter? Question mark. I'm not. Am I wrong, or did he pass the ball to Chelsea at one point? I don't think Lindelof should
it's
be...
It's not bad if he only did it once.
Don't think... I
was going to say, Ahmad did it about 5 times in the first half. We ain't going to, you can't base it off one thing.
It's a compliment.
Just to be clear, I don't think Lindelof should be starting for United next season.
No.
Or even now, really, but we're desperate and I think he's capable. That's all I'm saying.
And I think
he's been decent
motivation. If he knows it's going to be his last game in a United shirt, it's more of an incentive to go out on a personal level as well, to go out there and win it and go out on a high. I think there's a lot of players in that squad who will know deep down they're not going to be at Manchester United next season. Go out, do it on a personal level, do whatever. Especially what you would say, do it for the fans.
Especially because Lindelof did miss that penalty in the FA Cup. Do you remember? This season.
Was it Community Shield?
Was it Community Shield?
Yeah, I think so.
It was the FA Cup this season again.
Yeah, it was.
The FA Cup.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I was thinking about Johnny Evans in the Community Shield.
Do you know what? As well, it's like, if everyone was fit, I wouldn't be starting him. But I think he's done all right his last few games. I don't know. I'm just trying to be positive. I'm trying to get behind everyone before I find.
Last season it was Camboire and Casemiro at centre back, and that was only when we were playing 2. Imagine we were playing 3.
he'll be playing for a move as well because he's leaving on a free. So good chance to get a decent move and sign on fee. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. The next fan forum on this channel will be for the Europa League final, and you guys are either going to be sat here absolutely buzzing, or you're going to be sat here.
It's literally going to be the best fan forum ever.
Or the worst.
One of the worst, yeah.
And in terms of United season, and as a fan, it'll, you know what I mean?
Quick question before we go, because it literally is nearly midnight, but do you think this is a bigger truth, like a bigger occasion than the FA Cup final against City last season?
100%.
For what?
By far.
For what hangs on it?
Easily.
You think we would have been in the Conference League and winning the FA Cup put us into the Europa League? Yeah. It's another jump.
The only thing I will say, if we didn't win the FA Cup, we wouldn't be here. That's the only thing I will say.
That is wild, isn't it?
Yeah, without that one.
We wouldn't have got to this point.
Ten Hag. Thank you, Sophie and Amrabat. without you guys, we wouldn't even be here.
If, say we lift the trophy, it goes to a post-match interview. Thank you, Amrabat.
No, but I think it is. Other than the fact that, like I mentioned, we wouldn't be here for the FA Cup. But I said it on the build-up show. If we lose this, it could set us back 3 years. It could seriously set us back such a long way. But if we win, we could speed it up 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? So
that's right.
I think, the FA Cup didn't really speed us up or set us back any more than it did. You know what I mean?
But it was a glorious day.
Got the ball
and I do
rolling.
love the FA Cup.
Winning it against City is just...
It was a nice day, innit? It was a good day, innit? But
derby.
this is actually the future of United lies on this one game, so...
And last but not least, because I want to end it on high, score prediction for the final.
I'm not saying that yet. Can't. It's too early.
Not doing it.
We always do predictions
I'm going to have to deny it.
for the final.
Decline.
Win.
Decline.
We all think we're winning then.
2-0 United. It's going to be shades of
2-0.
It's going to be
I wish.
Shades of 2017 against Ajax. I think if we can get that early goal, we'll just never look back. We'll get a second. It'll be lovely and comfortable, and we'll bring the trophy home. We'll be in the Champions League next season.
I'm going 3-2 United in extra time.
I'm going.
Don't even.
I'm not saying anything yet.
I'm going.
Don't talk to me about extra time. Don't even talk to me about penalties as well.
Yeah, I'm going 2-2 United on pens.
Oh, don't.
I think we go 2-0 down and we score 2.
You do realise we'll be in the studio till about 1 in the morning.
Oh,
You know,
man.
Kev, you'll have like 10 pints by that point.
I'm bringing the guitar
Are you
as
not
well.
doing it?
No, I had to like really evaluate it and you know what I mean? Like do my
You
calculations.
need to see the team news first.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Get in your predictions, and all that's left to say is roll on the final. We'll see you on the next one, everyone.